Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys an old school album review. And today we're going to be looking into this album's 10th anniversary, and it's from one of my favorite bands and one of the most underrated bands, in my opinion. And as you can see by the title, we're going to be talking about Hellfrost by the Unguided. This was the band's debut album released on November 30th, 2011 through Deep Pots Records. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Unguided, they're a melodic death metal band from Falkenberg, Sweden. They formed in 2010, and these they're one of my favorite bands. And for those of you who probably aren't familiar, this band has some former members of the band Sonic Syndicate. It's being Richard Hunnison and his brother Roger and Roland Johansson. And for me, I feel like Hellfrost, I think this is pretty much what Sonic Syndicate would sound like if they all hadn't quit. I feel because honestly, after Love and Other Disasters, their third album, like those classic Sonic Syndicate albums were great, but after that, I think when they released Rerule the Night in 2010, that was when they really changed their style. It was more like radio friendly, commercial sounding, and I didn't really care for that album. And then and after that, it's just been a slow decline, and a lot of the members left. Which honestly, I don't blame them now because their last like Sonic Syndicates pretty much went to shit. But anyway, into that basically the Hunnison Bros, Richard and Roger, decided to form a new band called the Unguided, pretty much retaining kind of like what the Sonic has, like that old style, but also having like kind of like that like catchy like riffs and vocals, and also for the first time I'm adding like some different styles like guitar solos and stuff which you haven't really heard in like the Sonic stuff. But let's just dive right into this. The production on this album is superb, produced by Jonas Kilgren, who of course former guitarist of Scar Symmetry, another one of my favorite bands. And Jonas also played bass on this album. And just let's just talk about like the vocals. Let's just talk about Richard Hunnison's vocals. Like Richard, I feel like has a really good, powerful voice. Like he does like a really heavy growls, and I think his screams have really he shined a lot. And then the clean vocals from Roland Johansson. I feel like Roland's cleans really just has really just a a power to it. Just has really kick to it. The guitar work is pretty tight, and this is where you actually hear Roland does for the first time play guitar. And when I first heard the Unguided back in like 2013 2014, and there was like one music video where I saw Roland play guitar, and I was like, huh. And then I saw him shred. I was like, wow. I was really impressed, and I think he's a really damn good shredder. And then Roger just comes with some riffs, and he also does a lot of like the keyboards and like the programming on here. And of course, like I mentioned, Jonas played bass on here, and I kind of wish the bass was a little bit audible. And drumming wise, this actually has he was in Sonic then, but now he's not anymore. John Benningston, I probably butchered his name, but I feel like John does a really great job on this album, and of course, their current drummer Richard Schill does a pretty good job filling in those shoes. So. Yeah, I pretty much rambled on for a little over 3.5 minutes, so let's just dive into this album track by track. Now, starting things off is Inherit the Earth, which I think is a pretty good way to start off this album. It starts off with some really heavy synths and some snare rolls, and then it just erupts into a great kind of like melodic song. And I really like Roland's vocals on this song, and his voice just sounds good, and the guitars just shows how good the rest of this album is going to be. And it's a great like guitar track. And then we lead into the next song, which is called Phoenix Down. And this album has like a lot of the synths, and pretty much all the songs starts off with the synths before it just kicks right in. And then the guitar and the melody that just kicks in this song is just amazing. And there's like a great vocals between Richard and Roland, and Richard gets some great leads on this one, and the guitar solo here is pretty good. And this song is the most accessible because I heard it as like a single from this album. And then I think when we get to the next song on here, which I believe was the first single released from Hellfrost, correct me if I'm wrong, which is called Betrayer of the Code. And this one's a little bit heavier, pretty much mostly on the growls that I like it to be, but I just like the epic guitar leads, and Rolling backing behind the screams during the chorus is really great, and it has a phenomenal guitar solo, which makes it one of my favorite songs from the album. And this song Also has a great vocals and synth melodies in the middle before the second guitar solo. And I just love the guitar parts during the verses. And the last chorus of the song was just amazing. I think one is just Roland, and the next is just Roland and Richard, and then the final one is just Richard. I just think that both vocalists does a really great job on here. Moving on to the next song on the album, which is called My Own Death. Now, the synths on here is really catchy, and it also has a very good melody to it. And the chorus on here is the one I love. And I love sort of like the formula of like the harsh verses and the soaring choruses. And it's a great sample of a said formula, which, I mean, a lot of people think when bands have like a formula that they would like, would feel like they would be repetitive. But I feel like Sonic, like not Sonic, the Unguided pretty much has their formula. But I feel like with this album, but of course with later albums, they would definitely experiment more, but also stick to what they have. But anyway, My Own Death, and I really like this song, but I feel like this song also is a little bit weird for me. And the melodies and the guitar, the good stuff is all there, but I feel like it just comes out a little bit short in my mind as well. And it doesn't sound very generic by any means, but it just isn't as strong as like the previous 3 songs that I've heard so far. Moving on to Serenade of Guilt. Now, this one is a little bit slower than the last few songs, and the the lyrics in the chorus are very catchy, and along with like the melody. And there's a slower, heavier beat that makes this track stand out even more than like the previous songs that were even faster. And I love Roland's voice here on this one, and Richard's screams are really good here. The guitar work is brilliant. Collapse My Dream. Now, the beginning of this song kind of like it sounds like something similar that you would hear from Love and Other Disasters by Sonic Syndicate, and the actual song sort of like follows that style as well. It's very synth driven and heavy, and it's very good vocals from Roland and Richard, and of course the drumming is very heavy, and this is one of those songs that you'll pretty much headbang to when Richard screams and sing along when Roland steps in. Really good song. Next up is Green-Eyed Demon. Now, this is another one of my favorites as well. Sort of like a great catchy synth intro to be taken over by Richard, and then the heavy music background. And Roland's voice here is very intense and very passionate, especially in the chorus. And the verse and the chorus is one that are very heavy musically. And the chorus is very melodic, and the verses are just pure heaviness. It's a great song. And the synths also play a large role, and I think it just adds a lot to this song in particular. Next song on the album is called Ice Hard Fragment. Now, this one is a pure rocker, but it just has almost kind of like a mellower sound than the rest of them. And while Richard still has a presence on this song, it isn't as heavy as the previous tracks. It's good nonetheless because it stands out in the way, but it's not a favorite of mine overall. But I think it's a good tune, and I think the chorus is pretty good as well. Next up, we get to another one of my favorite songs on here, which is called Pathfinder. This one is unique. It starts off with a really sick little drum fill, and then Richard just starting off right with the vocals, and then the synths just come in. And this song is, compared to like what we've heard so far, is a lot heavier than the rest of here. And there's a lot of like screaming and growling thing, and I especially love like near the chorus when Roland kicks in saying, "I want to give you all the details." It just sounds like that little bit of melodicness, and I especially love like the little lead and then the pre-chorus, and then it just ends with like Richard and Roland singing, we are leaving Nightmare Land to pursue our dreams." Overall, really good song, and it's another one of in my opinion, one of the most underrated Unguided songs, or pretty much underlooked if you ask me. And then we close things out with the last song on the album, which is called Where the Frost Rose Withers. And the synth intro on here kind of sounds like something you would hear from like a video game, and I like this song, and I think it's a nice closer to the album, but I think it's a really it's a really good, I can't even speak today. It's just really catchy, and I think it's a pretty good way to end this album. Now, overall, Hellfrost by the Unguided, a pretty good start for a career, sort of like a new era for the Hunnison Bros. So if I had to give this album a score, I'm going to give Hellfrost by the Unguided a solid 9 out of 10. And so yeah, that's my review of the album, guys. And if you haven't heard of this band, check them out. They also have like 5 other albums out. And yeah, one of my favorite bands. I really wish they would come and tour the States. I really would love that. So yeah, that's my review of this album, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.